Hello, welcome back to Real Talk with Artists. This is Cristina Trujillo with the absolute pleasure of having our guest of today, Ulises. And I am more than happy to bring him on this show, everyone. Ulises, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I didn't get to say this, before we started the show, but I just want to give you major props because, I've experience doing like the podcast and like interviewing, but doing it live, that's a whole another thing. That's like just a whole another beast in itself. So I just want to give you props, to actually, commit to something like this and do it on a constant basis.
Thank you so much, Ulises. It's definitely a labor-intensive, labor of love production, and I thank you too because you're also volunteering your time, taking time from your busy schedule to join us today. So thank you, everyone. If this is your first time joining us on Real Talk with Artists, this is a platform to showcase the incredible work of the artists that you see. We're actually global. We've had artists join us from Berlin, from Argentina. Today we have Ulises Garcia that is joining us from Sacramento. He is an absolute gem and that I had the pleasure of working with during a production. So Ulises, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Who is Ulises Garcia? Where, are you originally from Sacramento, and what started you on this amazing journey of being a creative director?
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I'm actually originally from Placerville, which, for those of you who know where Placerville is at, it's if you take Highway 50 on the way to Tahoe, it's a little small town. Um, but yeah, I guess in high school was, my first time when I got into photography, right?
Okay.
Um, it was through I just got a camera and I just started shooting with friends and all that. And I really love not just the pictures and taking pictures, but just the experiences, the people that you meet, right? You're always reaching out to new people. And then from there, it progressed into video. And that's what I'm focusing on right now, productions, and just kind of really honing my craft and helping companies and businesses with their marketing materials and making creatives for them for their marketing campaigns.
I love that. And when you were in high school, like, what was that spark that said, I want to go into production? Because also I want to also mention you're a visual artist, right? Like essentially you take a vision from a client and then you're able to capture that on camera. That is artistry. And so when you were in high school, what was that spark that came through for you where you're like, this is how I want to be able to share stories and tell stories?
Yeah, so I think it started with storytelling, how you say. It was video, like video. When I went from photo to video and I could see what I could do with video, I was like, wow, like you can do so much more. Like, I don't know, like for me, I feel like I can do so much more. I can add sound, I can add effects, like I don't know, like a picture does speak a thousand words, but I think a video, does a million. So that was really the spark when I really discovered what I can do with video.
What was the first project that you can remember that you did as a kid?
The first project, paid project?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear that sound?
Mm-mm.
No, you can't hear. Okay, I hear this, but I think it's coming from Instagram. That is so weird. It's like this buzzing sound.
Oh, that might be me. Let me put on my
Okay.
do not disturb.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's what I hear. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Do not disturb. It should be good.
So you already have people
Um,
blowing you up.
um, a paid project or a creative project?
Yeah.
Uh,
What was
what,
the
what, what
first
did you
one?
think?
Yeah. What was the first video you did when
The
you were
video.
in
First
high school?
video.
Yeah.
I think it was Yosemite, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I had to do Yosemite and with my family, and my brother's girlfriend went with us as well. And she had a camera too, and she was like, super hobbyist of photography. So um, I saw the pictures she was taking, and I was like, wow, that got me to photography. So the next time I went to Yosemite, um, I had a camera and I did video, and it was just on my phone um, at first time, and then the second time I actually had a camera. So I think it really started with Yosemite and just kind of messing around and doing videos there. That's why Yosemite, really has a special place in my heart.
Because that's where it like because that's when you actually started doing your projects.
Yeah.
I I love that, and it's like it was right, in nature, right? When
Mhm.
you, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's so take us through your creative journey. So that was that one time where you're like, I'm gonna shoot, like I'm gonna do this, and then
Mhm.
what was that like after that? That what was that fuel that kept you going to continue to work on projects and produce and create and share?
Yeah, so as you kind of see in my Instagram bio, the whole tagline, I just want to do dope work with dope people. That's really what's kept me, just doing it the whole time. And I stick and live by that in any work that I really do, whether it's paid or non-paid. At the end of the day, if I'm doing that, I'm happy. So that's what kind of kept me going, when I was working a full-time job. After I got home, like I would just edit, and get minimal sleep. And so just being able to do dope work with dope people, that's what kept me in it, and that's what's keeping me in it.
I love that so much because it's true. I feel that now that I've had this like complete shift in my career, and now that I'm doing this working with artists, it's the adrenaline is amazing, right? Being able to tap into that adrenaline to like keep going and with minimal sleep, like you're right, like these live productions are very time consuming, so sometimes it requires minimal sleep to be able to just get on and do all of this. But because I love it, it's a thrill, right? And I'm sure that's probably how you feel because you're aligned with your soul's purpose. You're able to kind of push yourself a little bit further.
Exactly. No, that's why I give you props because, live and live streaming and just learning anything new really and really having that passion to, get better at it and learn more and mess up and, Google search, the answer to it,
Yes.
and once you figure it out, it's like the simplest thing, that's the stuff that you really got to fall in love with if you really want to do something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely had that experience this Tuesday. I was doing Giving Tuesdays for nonprofits that I really care about. And thanks to you, Ulises, because normally we meet on Tuesdays at 12, but you were so gracious and, you allowed me to push this over to Friday. So thank you. But yeah, Tuesday was hectic. Like there was every single technical complication that could happen on Tuesday when I was trying to do like something for free for nonprofits. It
Mhm.
was a nightmare. But sure enough, you do it and then you learn, right? Absolutely. I had to research a whole
Yeah.
lot to be able to troubleshoot on the go. And so that brings me to this question. What is the most, in terms of like production, right? Because people don't realize that production has several steps. Maybe they don't realize because they just see like the end outcome, right? They're able to just see the video, but they don't really realize what goes into all the steps that go into that. So what is your sort of maybe favorite step of the production, and then what is the hardest thing for you?
I think my favorite step would have to be either pre-production or post-production. I would probably say pre-production because I think the whole production is done in pre-production, the editing, everything. If you really think about it, you plan how you're going to edit it, you plan how you're going to shoot it, you plan, what's the goal of what you're doing, what do you want people to think, feel, or do when, they watch or see this production, right? So I think pre-production's got to be my favorite. My least favorite has got to be post-production. I don't know. I think it's I can maybe I don't know. I think it's just more like my routine or like my workflow, right? I think it's always improving. So, but yeah, definitely editing is something that's kind of like a love and hate relationship I got with it.
Right. I understand completely because that editing requires like it's just you and the camera and the computer, right? And I can tell also that one thing that I noticed about you right away when I worked with you is just your ability to connect with people, like from the beginning, from the start. You're so professional, you're on top of it, right? And it's really truly that connection. Like you really do feel like your essence and your truth when it comes to delivering and working with clients and people. And so I can see how post-production, it's a little difficult because you're not dealing with people. It's just you and the computer.
Exactly, exactly. No, yeah, and I think my favorite, I guess, well, it makes it a little bit easier is when you do have, the team in the editing room, and you have someone, there like helping you with an edit. You met Daniel, right? Remember
Yeah,
Daniel?
Daniel's
So
awesome.
sometimes, we're editing together, right? So I think it just makes it a little bit more fun and just collaborating on an editing, which you usually do by yourself, right? If you're an editor. But yeah.
Yeah, and so speaking of like, production, let's show our audience what we have in terms of like some pictures here I have of you. Let's see, take us through these, let's see, these pictures you generously shared with me. Let's see. I think this is your production life. There you go. So, I love this picture, Ulysses. Who took this? Did you take this of yourself?
No, so my partner Teddy, he took that.
Okay.
He took it. We were doing, I think, headshots, or I think he was just messing around with lighting. And we were like, "Sit down, let's get a headshot." I was like, "All right, let's do it."
This is incredible. I love this picture. So tell me a little bit more about the picture. Okay, so we know that you're originally from, the greater, I want to say like Sacramento area. I always think Sacramento, but it's not. It's tell us again. It's near Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
Where you're born and raised.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so where is your family like from, ethnic wise?
And so my family is from Michoacan, Morelia.
Okay.
Both of my parents, they actually lived in the same neighborhood, a couple of streets away from each other.
Oh, I love that. And so, what you're wearing there, is that like symbolic of something of
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's kind of more symbolic of the Moriscos. So they're
Okay,
kind of like Moors, right? So I guess more the ancestral line.
I love that. Thank you. Well, that makes it even more powerful, the picture. Right? It's that visual storytelling. Tell us about this here.
So that one is we were doing, I think that was October 18th, if I'm remembering correctly. That's a production that we were doing with the Latino Center, Sacramento Latino Center of Arts and Culture in Sacramento. And then I think that was Grupo de Danza de Victoria Mendoza. So she's a local, what's it called, dance teacher in Sacramento, and that's her group right there. And as you can see, Daniel, is getting some B-roll shots, and I'm on the wide camera, just kind of getting the overall experience of, the children dancing. They're very coordinated. It's crazy. They get super dedicated to learn these dances. They're all in sync, and when you see, people at that age doing something like that and really committing to it, it's something special.
It is. It looks very beautiful, and I like the behind the scenes production shot of your crew in front of all the youth. That is so beautiful. And so did they perform? Did they perform for you?
Yeah, so we were doing we're working with we're doing like a series of episodes where they feature different traditional groups that do traditional dancing in Sacramento, or really Northern California. And this was one of the groups, one of the episodes. I think it was the last episode that they uploaded, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
I love that. So special. And props to the kids, right, for wearing their mask and still doing what they need to do. It's so hard on youth, everything that we're going through. So what an incredible shot here.
They're dedicated.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. So beautiful. And tell us about this. Is this during a production as well?
Yeah, so right there we have our host, Carissa Gutierrez. She's also interviewing. I think it was also Victoria Mendoza, and that was just me, just kind of DPing and being on the A cam, just making sure the framing's good and everything. And I think we're just going through the interview and just trying to get the story. We'll ask the right questions, right, to get the story right. So when we do go edit it, we can really put together a story that does justice to what all they're about.
I love that. And I'm looking at the equipment you have here. Tell us about the equipment, because when you have to decide on a production, what decision making goes into the type of equipment that you use? Because this looks like very sophisticated equipment.
Yeah, so I think it's all depending on the scope of work of the project, right? Of what you're trying to go for. I think I always tell clients, I'm like, what do you want people to think, feel, or do when you watch a video, right? And it's kind of like they give me a response, and then based off that response, I structure, okay, what the video is going to be, and then based off that, it's kind of like I guess a root system, right? Where based off what I know how the video is going to look, then it's like, okay, I'm going to need this. I might need a gimbal, or I might just need a tripod. So I pick my equipment just depending on the main goal and how we're going to achieve that.
Okay, I love that. And then when it comes to lighting, what are some like three like tips that you would give to people like that are just starting in production?
I think lighting is one of the main things. I mean,
Yeah.
other than the fundamentals and learning that, I mean, I got my own little light setup impromptu, right? But,
Yeah.
I think it's very important to really learn lighting because, that's what photography and videography really is, capturing light. And if you really learn to master that, I think you're going to be able to get really creative and create unique looks that maybe you weren't able to get with natural light.
Right. I love that. And then so there's also the difference, right, in documenting, photographing, shooting a person of color, right? You have to, there's just like special techniques. You have to know how to really document or photograph a person of color. Am I right? Right? It's
Mhm.
just it's different, I think, and that's definitely something when I'm looking at vetting photographers to hire them or videographers, I want to know if they have experience photographing brown skin,
Mhm.
like in brown
Yeah,
skin,
no,
because
definitely. I think, I think it just comes with experience, of working with, people from, different cultures and environments it just becomes natural of, okay, the way you approach one shoot might be different than the way you approach, another shoot. So it's just with experience and really understanding, how you're going to do something.
yeah, that's so important. And so, with that, and I want to mention to folks that are joining us live right now, hello. Actually, my aunt from down in LA, hola tia, she's joining us. Hello, everyone that's joining us. This is an interactive, we're here live because we want folks to connect, to interact, to ask Ulises questions. Like, if you've been dying to know something personal, because this is real talks. So if you've been dying to know something personal about Ulises, this is your chance. Maybe you want to know, like, how does Ulises make time for his personal life when he's just grinding all the time on productions, right? So I want to invite people to chime in, ask questions, say hello while you're here live. But that is actually, yeah, let me ask you real quick. Let me pause and ask you, Ulises, how do
Yeah.
you balance it? Because again, when I met you, when we were working on this production together, you were also like running on very low sleep. You was, I couldn't tell because you were on it, right? But you were going from one production to another. And then, so what do you do to balance out your life and balance out everything else in your life? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read a really important book a couple months ago, and it really changed my perspective and my whole approach to scheduling and dealing with time.
Okay.
The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, right?
Oh,
And
that's
in that book, have you read it?
yes, that's a very popular. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But tell me,
Yeah.
remind me of what you learned.
Yeah. So they talk about blocking, right? And really scheduling your time based off your values and what you want to achieve. So that's what I started doing now, right? I schedule my time based off my values, and I think that just really keeps me organized and I guess happy, right? Because at the end of the day, everything that I'm doing is based off my values and how I dedicate my time. So that's really my new approach and my most recent approach that I'm trying to get better at every single day. But yeah.
I love that so much. That is so important. Well, I can tell that you value your work and your craft so much because you're on it all the time. So going back to the production, folks, if you're joining us as well, if you want to see like what we're showing, please join us like on either YouTube or Twitter. We're actually showing like production, some wonderful images that Ulises shared with me earlier on. I tried getting this on Instagram, y'all, but again, like it's, just a little FYI for folks, when you're live streaming, you have to kind of like get the settings right for the photos, or else they won't come out as you like them to come out, unfortunately. So anyhow, so if you are somewhere, well, I can see you there, Ulysses, but I'm blocking your friend. But yeah, sizing is everything. Images when you're doing live streams. And so I got the right sizes for the other platforms, y'all. So here we're looking at a picture, not this one on Instagram, but a different one where Ulysses is in production mode. And we were discussing lighting and we're discussing equipment, because one thing that I would love to share with like the general public is really truly like what goes into a production, right? So you have pre-production, then you have the day of the production, and then you have post-production. Those are a lot of hours that go into that, right? And when you are working with someone like Ulysses, who really cares about your vision and is looking to deliver, he's going to go about above and beyond like what he did for us. Like he goes beyond and above and beyond to really understand what you're trying to capture on film, on camera. So those are a lot of hours. And so Ulysses, kind of take us through a day in the life of Ulysses when you are in production.
Yeah, so I think, well, I think, like I said, everything's really done in pre-production, where you figure everything out. At least you should, right? Figure
Right.
everything out in pre-production. So when it comes to a production day, I think you're just following the schedule
Oh, I'm
and
sorry, Ulysses, your volume is a little down now. Did it move something?
for
I don't, yeah. Well, right now, yeah, I hear you. I don't know if everyone else can. Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure that
are you talking
testing.
about
Now it's a little bit louder. It's a
okay.
little, okay.
Are you talking about Streamer or on Instagram?
Instagram, but I'm not sure since I can't.
Let
I'm
me
not. Yeah,
see. Are we good now?
we're good now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
so how I said, everything should really be figured out in pre-production. So when it does come to production days, you're just following the game plan, the timeline. So, if we start at 5 p.m., if call time is 5 p.m. and your cameras are rolling at 6, you stick to that, you plan for that, and you really just follow the schedule. Because a good friend of mine, his name's Adam. He also has a company, Proxy AV. He said, I might be butchering this, but there's things you can prepare for consciously. There's things that, like a backup plan, right? You can have backup plans. And then there's also things that you just can't prepare for at all, that you can't really anticipate, that happen all the time and are out of your control. So I think as long as you knock out those first two of things that you're supposed to prepare for, and then things as backup plan, then you're good, right? You did everything you could. You prepared the best you can. Everything else, is not in your hands and out of your control. So, as long as you knock out those first two, I think everything will be great.
I love that, and you're right. Some things are not in our control, like the rain that occurred during
Oh
a
God,
summer
yeah,
day when we were.
yeah,
Tell people about that. That was crazy. It was like 100 and something degrees, right, Ulysses? And what happens?
yeah. So it was, I think it was like closer to the hottest weeks in Sacramento that we had in a while, right? I think the week before that or after that, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think you noticed on your way coming from the Bay that there was like a huge storm cloud, and we were like, okay, it might rain, but it might not. I mean, it's been super hot these past few days.
Yeah.
It should be impossible, right? And during our shoot, I think as we were setting up, it did start to rain, and it just started pouring and pouring, and we couldn't really see the end of it, the end of the storm clouds. So we were like, we just had to improvise as best as we could. But fortunately, I think we just waited a little bit, and they passed, which I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm very thankful too. And I again, shout out to you because So it was really hot, and this unexpected rain happened, right? Some things that you can't really,
Mhm.
sometimes you can't. It's hard to predict as well. It was really erratic weather, and so, but throughout the whole entire time, as busy as you were making sure that I was okay. So thank you for that. That was so touching, and it meant a lot to me because I was essentially the co-director for this, my assistant director for this project that we worked on, and it was actually my first time on a project like that. So thank you for being so warm and just like really looking out, right? That's really kind, and I appreciate that so much, and I'm sure that you do that with all your clients as well.
No, yeah, I mean, especially on sets, right? Because you're usually there for hours. You're making sure the production's done right. So you're there for hours, and things go wrong, things go right, things take longer than expected. So people might be tired. Maybe someone messed up or they messed up. You always want to make sure that they're good and the environment is good because once you call you know, once you say that's a wrap at the end of the shoot, you want to make sure that everyone feels that um, good. Everyone feels good about what they did and what we all as a collective worked on.
Yeah. So speaking as that as a collective and a team, right? Because it's truly a collaborative effort to bring something to life, an idea to life. And that's the beauty of it, right? You have an idea and then you assemble the right team to bring it to life. So what are we seeing here in this screen, in our screen here on StreamYard with your team here?
Yeah, so there we have some of the Black Tape team and friends as well, and volunteers. So our buddy Jace Angelo, he works with ARI, which is Asian Resources Inc. And we are at their new location that they had just moved into, I think during the summer, and they wanted to remodel, right? They wanted to make sure everything looks nice because they were gonna have, they were donating food, and this was yeah, I think this was August, July, around there. So we're in the middle of the pandemic. Things are still kind of uneasy, and people haven't really been to work, so a lot of people lost their jobs, unfortunately. So we just kind of wanted to give back. But before that, we wanted to tidy up the place and make sure that it looked good. So when people come into the drive-through, that it looked nice, and even just for future events that they hold there, it looks nice and it just looks clean. But yeah, he asked us to come help out, and he's part of the Black Tape fam, so of course we had to go volunteer and go help out and really clean up and make it look as best as possible.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's really beautiful. Speaking of your commitment to give back, um, when we approached Black Tape Company, and shout out to the Verdugo brothers. I love them because I shouted out. I was like, I asked the brothers if they knew of someone that I can hire as a director of photography, and then they recommended Back Tape Company, and so we hit you guys up about a project that was for social impact, and so the budget was super limited, and so that actually made me think about. I think you all won an award recently, like a community award. I think it was probably from the state senate. But tell us a little bit about that. Like, what goes into your commitment to give back to the community and take on jobs that may not have, the budgets that you obviously all deserve?
Yeah, I think one thing that I really like about just the whole Black Tape family is that we really understand how important the community is, and making sure that we give back as much as possible because Sacramento is it's big but it's small, right? It's a small, it gives me like a small city vibes compared to like Los Angeles or other cities. So we recognize the importance of really giving back and volunteering our time and our resources wherever and whenever we can. So, like I said, or for example, when like there was looting going on, right? We wanted to help, small business owners clean up. A lot of them, unfortunately, the business got broken into or maybe windows shattered, and we just wanted to clean up, help them clean up because I tell you, like when we went to those businesses, those small businesses, like just the disappointment and I guess just the emotion in the business owner's eyes is it's saddening and you know, so we just wanted to give back as much as possible.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. No, it's very important. And Sacramento, yeah, has that sort of like a small town kind of feel. But I believe, if I'm correct, that 1 in 4 children are going hungry right now. That's in Sacramento. So every little bit, right, that we're able to contribute, right? Even if we're ourselves, like perhaps, on a tight budget or, limited in or reaching our capacity or our bandwidth, I think it's always really important to carve out a little bit of that time to get back to our community, because there's so many people are really under stress and suffering right now. So thank you to you, and thank you to Black Tape for just being champions for social impact and for
Thank
helping
you. Thank you.
others. I appreciate that. So let's see. I have other really great pictures here. More of, I believe, of your team. That's also y'all like working hard, right?
Yeah, so right
With
there was just creating, picking up all the rocks that were around the area, around the shrubs. So we had to load them up onto a wheelbarrow, and then there was a pile that they were just piling up in the parking lot. We just dumped it there.
thank you. Was that part of your service what you had that recognition from the, I think it was the state assembly?
Yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Congratulations.
thank you, thank
That's
you.
beautiful. And what do we have here, Ulises? What a
So
great
there
photo.
we have, I think that was my second podcast episode. Like the first, this one was super spontaneous. I was just at the office, and we have Don Rance. He's co-owner of that company right there. Two companies actually: Natural Defense, which is a hand sanitizer, natural hand sanitizer, and Tattoo Lovers Care, which is products to take care of tattoos, after they're done. Um, but yeah, he just pulled up to the office and just like the first, super spontaneous, like, yo, I have the equipment, like, you want to do a podcast? He's like, I'm down. So, we just sat down and, just chopped it up. And I think that's what I really like about, I guess, the approach that I'm having with that is it's super laid back, super casual, I get to learn about them and also they get to share their stories, with the audience.
I love that so much. And I love that you're spontaneous with it, right? Because when I started live streaming, I had no idea. I knew that people were doing like live IG. So I was like, you know what? I have something of value that I want to offer to our communities. And it's about educating our community about, financial education. And I have some background in that. And I invited on one of my friends who's still in that sector, nonprofit sector, doing financial education, financial coaching. So I was like, hey, let's do these live IG shows. We had no
Mhm.
idea what we're getting ourselves into, and we just like dived right in very spontaneously, right? But now here we are doing like simul streaming, and also we air live on local Berkeley channels, and still, there's still so much to learn. So thank you for being spontaneous. I really want to kind of amplify that message that it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Ulysses, like,
Mhm.
yes, when we are delivering for clients, I think it's absolutely imperative to try to get to perfection, right, as possible. But I think when it's something from us that we want to show up in the world because we have something of value to offer, I think just take Ulysses' approach. It's okay, like, be spontaneous,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly. I always tell people, if you want to do something, just do it, and you're gonna get better. But I also get it. It's I guess the jump to really put yourself out there and maybe not be the quality of what you do may not be up to par, with where you want to be. But I think taking that first step is the only way to get there, and really, learning where the pain points are and where you want to get better. It's imperative.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, that is perfect, really, because it's the only way you're going to learn, right? Where those
Hmm.
pain points are and where you can go better. It's like once you do it. And I also really want to encourage folks that if you've never done some type of content creation, but you do, again, have something of value that you can add to the public, right? I think it's important too, because initially when we first start, you don't have a lot of traction, right? Especially live. But the beauty of it is that you're able to save everything so that folks could come on later, right? And watch your show. And the more and more as you keep going and you learn, then you start to also build that audience as well, which is super beneficial for everyone.
I'm sorry my light went out. It cut out a little. The battery died actually. So.
Oh, but you still look great. It actually on Instagram.
I switched the screen over to a white, a brighter screen, so
Oh,
hopefully it
oh no,
looks a
it
little,
still looks good.
little bit.
It's really good. Actually, your hair looks like you just dyed it to like burgundy on Instagram. But
Hold on, let me.
yeah,
Uh,
it still looks really good. I
okay.
yeah,
All right, sounds good.
it looks really good. So then here, Ulises,
But, yeah.
you look like you're in a, the old school, what do you call the dark rooms where you would have to go into to process film. That's what it looks like. And that really, I love it. That's good. Yeah. So here is Ulises' podcast. It's called Full Circle Show. Where can people go to hear your podcast, Ulises?
Yeah, so it's on all platforms: Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Where else? I think it's on Amazon, Google Podcasts as well. So pretty much just all the platforms really. And then mainly if you follow me on Instagram or if you connect with me on Instagram, it's on Instagram as well. So yeah, and pretty much just any platform where there's music or there's podcasts, it should be on there.
Beautiful. What platform are you using to do your podcasting?
For hosting?
Yes, for hosting.
So for hosting right now, I'm using Red Circle.
Okay.
So I really liked, sorry, I'm like,
Oh, no, you're good. Okay. Do you need a minute?
yeah, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's all good. You're good.
Um,
Yeah.
can you still hear me?
We can still hear you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. I can still
So
hear you from Instagram, but I don't think I don't have you on StreamYard anymore.
you lost me on StreamYard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, sorry about
No,
that.
you're good. That's okay.
Um,
It happens.
so for the hosting platform, I use Red Circle. I think it's a free platform, so I really got a lot of benefits from it,
Mm-hmm.
and what I was able to do with it. So it really helps you and gives you a lot of tools as a creator, and it's for free. So, it's that much better.
Oh, that's perfect. And let me ask you quickly, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Ulises, any chance you can come back on StreamYard to wrap
Yeah,
up? Okay, beautiful. Hi, everyone. So I'll let everyone know what we're talking about now, and then you can do your magic to come back on StreamYard. So Ulises was just telling. Oh, you're good. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You're back. Yes. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So Ulises is just sharing with us his podcast called Full Circle Show. So you basically can stream it on all, your any of your favorite podcasts or Spotify. I think you're on Anchor and all of iTunes, right? And so
Yeah.
tell us who would be who's the audience of your show? Who do you?
I think the audience is, I think those people who might be hesitant about starting something new,
Mm-hmm.
or are very in the artistic or creative field. I guess the majority of my network consists of other creatives, photographers, videographers, also business owners as well. So I think anybody who wants to, I guess, step away from or step more into something that's their own and that they want to do. I think it's mostly for those type of people.
I love it. And so you also interview, so you interview photographers, videographers, and that's also your audience, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so get in touch with Ulises if you like to be interviewed. And how many seasons are you slated for? How many episodes are you slated for, Ulises?
So right now we have 3. I have a 4th episode that I'm working on, and then I have 2 more after that. So I think that's something that I can get better with. That's something that you're great at, is scheduling and making sure that the process to get someone actually on the show is smooth. And it's definitely something that I'm working on, every day.
Okay, good. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm glad that this process was smooth smooth for you as my interviewee. Again, anyone who's on right now on Instagram or joining us anywhere else on YouTube or Twitter, please feel free to ask Ulises any questions that you may have for him. I mean, we literally covered his, sort of like his beginnings, right? And in terms of what led him into this field of being a creative director. He also gave us some really good information about, tips that he has for other creators in terms of lighting and also how to balance things out. And then let's see here. Thank you so much for joining. Again, I want to invite folks to come in, chime in before we wrap up this wonderful interview and segment. And Ulises, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, it's already, I know, it's crazy. Time flies when you're having like a good time, with good people, good conversation. So Ulises, quickly, what was your like takeaway and working for the production that we did? And so just kind of like a little background. I brought in Ulises for a production, Ulises and also Daniel. Daniel was amazing as well. So big shout out to Daniel. You guys were an amazing team together. So thank you. And what was essentially like your takeaway of that day and then working with Kirthi and I to do a video production for Mutual Housing in Sacramento?
Takeaway as in, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, just working in terms of like collaboration with, even the Kirthi and I, like, how was that for you? Because when we brought you in, we had already when we were discussing sort of that production life, how you have pre-production, production, post-production. And so Kirthi and I, we were majorly involved in that pre-production. So how was that for you? And then, did you feel like that, it was more streamlined, or what was that experience for you to work with both Kirthi and I and also the day of the production?
Yeah, I think you guys were great. I love the organization that you guys had. Kirthi, the notes, your feedback. Just I think you guys were organized, which is always helpful. I understood what you guys needed, and I think if you're able to communicate that well with anybody, especially in a professional field, I was confident that I was like, okay, I understand what they need from me, and I understand that I can actually do that. And help them out with that. So I think just the organization that you guys had and the thoroughness in your guys' pre-production helped a lot. Helped us do our job better and easier on the day of the production.
Oh, that's really important. So with that, what would you tell your prospective clients or people that have an idea about going in, like doing a reel, a video, documentary, photography? What advice would you give folks with ideas, to do something like this so that, when it comes to the production day, you feel, extremely prepared to deliver?
I think a timeline in terms of the whole project and the shot list for the shoot and the schedule. All that is based around what the end goal is. But I think if you really nail those and really put those in line with the overall direction that you guys are going for, as a production company and with the client, it's just going to make everything easier and make everyone be on the same page. And it just makes everything go smooth, which on these big projects, that's all you can hope for, that it goes smooth. So, that's definitely something that I would recommend to anybody. Like I said, everything's done in pre-production. So if you really nail pre-production, everything else should be really smooth because, you prepared for everything that you could prepare for.
Yeah, thank you for that. I hope people were taking notes because that's really important. You just get literally those were the really good highlights. And thank you to Kirthi. She was the first film director that I worked with, and did I learn a lot. She's just out of this world phenomenal and like an incredible professional. So it was really exciting to work with her. And so before we say goodbye for the day, I want to share with everyone. I'm going to share my screen again because I want to share with everyone where they can find you, because I'm sure that folks are going to be like, where can I find Ulises? So first of all, this is this podcast. It's a new podcast here. It's called Full Circle Show. And here is where you can stream it on Spotify. This is Ulises' Instagram. It's Ulises.Garcia 13. So folks already on Instagram, you already know where to find him. Just click up on the little arrow there, and you can just follow him right away right now. And then here, for folks joining us on other platforms, here's Ulises' Instagram. Let's look through this beautiful album you have here. So when it comes to photography, Ulises, what's like what kind of like what is it that your decision making that goes into selecting the the photos that you have here for your gorgeous Instagram album?
I think I think what I just go off of is my bio, right? Where I mean, it used to be a lot more specific, but I think if you really look at my bio and what it says, I try to reflect, the feed based off that.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Okay, so your bio is just want to do dope work with dope people. So y'all, if you all make it here on his album, you're dope. And this is really good. Hi everyone for joining us. This is a gorgeous album. And so this is your podcast for your Full Circle show. This is so wonderful. And this is for Black Tape Company. When did you join Black Tape Company?
So Black Tape Company was a lot more low key when I joined. I think it was an idea, and it was actually, coming to life a lot more. I joined August of 2019.
Okay, that's really, so you joined really early on when they just started?
Yeah, so it was so my buddy Veer, he's actually, the founder, right? He came up with the idea of Black Tape because he really wanted to create something that, the creatives own. He worked a lot with, UFC fighters and with these bigger brands, but the thing about that is you can't really own it, right? You can say you're a part of it, but you don't, at the end of the day, you can't use it. You don't really have the rights to it. And I think that's really something that he wanted to really do with Black Tape is the ownership, right? Where the creatives are the owners of everything that they produce and the brand and the business in itself.
Yeah, I love that. This is so beautiful. And how many, so it's a big team of creatives on this company? I
Yeah,
love it.
so I think it's a group of 5+ right now for sure. 6. I kind of lose track sometimes.
Yeah, I love this. This is great. And so here I have again, your Instagram accounts. Thank you so much. Okay, one quick question before
Yeah.
we uh, we say goodbye. Okay, what would you tell your 4-year old self?
My 4-year-old
What
self.
would your adult self tell your 4-year-old self?
Oh wow. See, I've been asked the question, but not that age, right? Not 4-year-old self. Wow, that's great. That's a great question. You really threw a curveball with that one. Oh gosh. Hmm. 4-year-old self. Man. Wow, that's because it's got to be very specific to a 4-year-old's world, right? So, ooh, what
Carlos.913. Thank you, Carlos, for commenting.
playing Call of Duty? Man, if I was playing Call of Duty that old,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Carlos was Ulysses playing Call of Duty. So, oh my goodness. Sorry. Yeah.
Wow,
Well,
4-year-old
think,
self.
okay, to make it easier, I know it's a curveball here, right? But we're talking about real talk with artists. And in fact, I was a little easy with you. I didn't, dig in a little bit deeper, but we're
You,
going to
you
have to
know,
have you on again.
you know what? I don't think I would tell them something. I think I would ask them something. I think I would ask my 4-year-old self what
Mm,
I'd really like to do. So
I
I
love
wouldn't
it.
necessarily tell them something. I think I would ask them what I really like to do or what's something that you really like to do because then that's gonna really gauge the conversation of what I will then tell.
I love that. That is so important. You're so wise because one of the most important things that I've learned in like sort of wanting to, more in that self-discovery world is that or realm, is is in essence, it's not what we say or what we do, but it's the questions that we ask. And it's so wise of you to say, you know what, I wouldn't tell anything to my 4-year-old self, but I actually would ask my 4-year-old self, like, these
Mm-hmm.
important questions. I do believe that at that sort of age, 4 or 5, and because also I raised a young man, like during that time period, I noticed that that's when if you, parents pay attention, that's when your children really start to show you what they love and what they care about and relish, and they express it through imagination and their own storytelling, and then that they start to really show what their innate gifts are, right? And so for you to say, I would actually ask my 4-year-old self, like, what do you like to do, right? That is precious. Thank you for sharing. That is so
I mean, that was
beautiful.
a good question. How long have you been? Do you ask all the guests?
I try. Yes, I try. I try. I do. And because it's so one of those things that, and it's also like so natural, even for me to be like, this is what I would tell my 4-year-old self. It's like, and I would, but that's interesting. You're the first one to say, I would actually ask my 4-year-old self something like that important question. That is so perfect. It's such a perfect way to end and to wrap up the show, Ulysses. I can't wait to be able to collaborate on another project with you in the future. I feel like, wow, I know who to call. When I need somebody, and so thank you so much, Ulysses, for showing up and doing what you do. We
No,
appreciate you.
I want to thank you. Like I said, props again for doing something like this live, right? Figuring StreamYard, all the platforms, right? It's not easy. It's especially with technology, right? Figure, like I
Yeah.
said, you can be on Google searching for the problem, when it could be really simple and just going through all that. So I want to thank you, for your time and having me on here. How you said you have artists all around the world. So for me to be a part of that, it's something special and it's an honor, really.
Thank you, Ulysses. It mattered. Thank you. That matters a lot. Again, it's you showing up the way that you did. It really stood out to me. So of course, I really wanted to extend this invitation and hope. Yeah, again, I'm really open and I look forward to being able to collaborate with you in the future as well.
I got to get you on the podcast.
Get me on that podcast.
For sure.
I got to get you to on my podcast if you're down to be a reader, because it's basically sharing the work of my mentor who passed away this year, and he left an 85-page essay, and so I bring on readers who read a portion of that essay. So you have the
I'm so
equipment,
down. I'm
Ulysses.
so down. Yeah, we'll talk about it for sure. I'm down. I'm
I
down.
love it. I love it. It's wonderful. All right, y'all, please follow Ulysses, connect with him. He has a heart of gold. He's so humble and wonderful. So really big shout out to him. And yeah, follow us as well. We have a new YouTube. We have a new Twitter. So if y'all are on those channels, definitely give a follow. So, all right. Love to all. Happy holidays. Thank you, Ulysses. Have
Bye.
it.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone. Thank you. Bye.